I really need to make a confession about something that I did when I was 12, and I also want to clear my name. I need to set the story straight. When I started secondary school, I started at a place that I considered to be posh, and I knew I probably wouldn't fit in there, having come from the place that I came from in comparison to where this place was. Surprisingly, I did actually make friends, and this one person who I did consider to be posh invited me to her house. When I arrived at this house, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Everything was white. The carpet was white. The sofa was white. The mum's hair was white, and even the dog was white. And I can tell straight away that my friend's mum, who has her hair like Marilyn Monroe, doesn't like me. And to be honest, I don't like her much either, because she's nothing like my mum. She's a bit standoffish and she sounds like the Queen. Dinner time, very different to my family. Everybody has to gather around the table and it's almost silent as they chew. And not only is the atmosphere very stale and a bit scary, a bit like being in an after-school detention, the food that is on my plate looks like what my dad would eat for dinner, and that is very different to what I, a 12-year-old, would eat for dinner. Pork chops, asparagus and mashed potato. Pork chops. I'm a vegetarian. Her mum knows I'm a vegetarian. I look down at the plate and I eat around the dead piece of animal. Everybody else is finishing their meal. Her mum looks over at my plate and tells me I can't leave the table until I have finished at least one of the pieces of flesh on my plate. I start to well up and I panic. I sit there and I smile nonetheless while she asks me questions like how old my mum was when she had me and does she have a job? Which now I would answer, yes, she does have a job. She runs her own business, actually. Unfortunately for you, my darling, she wasn't a teenage mum. She just looks bloody good for her age and she had me at 27. And lastly, before you even ask, yes, my mum and dad do have a television. They just wanted to have lots of kids. I don't. I answer polite. Now, there is no way I was going to eat that. Not a chance. I couldn't stomach it. Even the smell of it was giving me a migraine. I look around. I can't see any plant pots. I've eaten the mashed potato because it was really nice. I've got nowhere to hide the meat. My outfit has no pockets. For a minute, I think about stuffing a chop in my bra, but the thought makes me feel physically sick. And then I realise, I look down at that little white dog and I think, I know what I'm going to do. At home, I've got a Labrador and that dog will eat anything you put in front of it. I cut that chop up as tiny as I can. I start to pass it under the table to that little white dog. The dog didn't eat like my Labrador at home and it left little bits everywhere, which I just had to kick underneath the table. I'm sorry, I had to. She left me no choice. Eventually, her mum decides she's had enough of being sadistic and she allows me to leave the table and go upstairs. That house was like a tropical island. The climate was disgustingly hot, and when I got upstairs, it was even worse. I grew up in a house where it was always cold. I grew up in a house where we were told, put another jumper on. And actually, I like it that way. I get up the stairs and I finally feel safe because I am painfully shy. I ask my friend if I can open the window and stick my entire body out there, and she says yes. I stick my head out there, and while I'm contemplating throwing myself out to avoid the weird stuffy vibes from within this house, I see a packet of Mayfair on the flat roof. Only reason that I know what Mayfair is because my nan smokes like 40 a day. I myself have never been a smoker to this day, and that's important. I put my head back inside and I tell my friend, there's a packet of Mayfair on your roof. She says, oh, gross. And I'm surprised by her reaction. My friend tells me it's time to get into our pyjamas, which I've been dreading. You know why? Because I have bought a full Roadman Nike tracksuit. It's the sort of attire I would need to wear in my cold house to survive the night. Now my tracksuit is looking like a piece of foil, which I will use to cook myself in her house. I am way too shy to tell my friend that I don't want to wear my Roadman tracksuit, so I put it on in the 30-degree heat. I lay down on a blow-up mattress in her room that is covered in several different layers of white embroidered blankets with frills like nothing I've ever seen apart from in a doll's house. I even had embroidery with my friend's initials on. I am so hot that I end up having to get out of bed, taking off my Roadman tracksuit, and I end up putting back on my lovely new shorts that I've just bought. I don't feel happy about this, not at all, because I was supposed to wear those shorts the next day to a party. Somehow, I actually managed to fall asleep in a puddle of my own sweat, and when I wake up, it is like 5 a.m, and my friend, she's already up, out of bed, and she's getting dressed because she has to go to some sort of sports thing. She taps me, she tells me she's going and that she'll be back at 8. Asks me if I want to come, and it's two choices. Either stay here in the furnace in a puddle of my own sweat, or go with her mum. I'm going to stay in the furnace. At about 7, it's still kind of dark in the room, but I decide to get up. I pull that quilt off me, and guess what? It's not a puddle of sweat. Stupid body had decided that that day, that night of all nights, that would be the one that I would get my first ever visit from Aunt Flo. Now, almost crying over a bit of meat on my plate, That seems to make sense. So here I am in a puddle of my own blood in a house where everything is white. Friend's house, who I've only known for about a month, and her B word of a mother, who already quite clearly doesn't like me. To mention the fact that the quilt that is underneath me clearly has been personalised for her only daughter. And if that wasn't bad enough, I am wearing my favourite shorts that I'm supposed to be wearing to a party later that night. In part because there is literally no time to hang about, and I go into the bathroom and I start to scrub my shorts. Go back into her room, I strip that little blow-up mattress and I shove all of those sheets into my tiny duffel bag. I do not want to steal these granny sheets with my friend's name on. I just want to wash them and sneak them back into the airing cupboard before anybody realises they're gone. Managed to find the rest of the sheets, I remake that bed and I pray that nobody will know the difference. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, my shorts are ruined. I go through every cupboard in that bathroom to try and find something that I could scrub those shorts with, and do you know what I found? Hair dye. Red, crazy colour. I think to myself, maybe this could dye the shorts a different colour, and so I give it a whirl. I soak them in the red. Doesn't work. But in the process, I do manage to stain several towels and the floor mat in that bathroom. And of course it's white. I shoved those in my duffel bag too. Give up. I shoved the wet shorts in my duffel bag. I am sweating. The physical scrubbing and the heat of the house, mixed with the fact that I now have to put my Roadman tracksuit back on, is all too much. But it doesn't end there. I go downstairs and that little dog has destroyed their house. Destroyed it. I have never seen so much from such a little dog. And then I remember that when my friend left, she asked me if I would let the dog out. In all of my panic, I hadn't. And I am probably responsible because I fed him my dinner. And I don't know where any of the cleaning supplies are. I get on my hands and knees with nothing but toilet paper and water, and I scrub and I fight back the urge to vomit. They come home. Their house smells weird. I'm sure they think it's me. But I can't tell them that it was their dog because I didn't let it out, and I also fed it my dinner. We go upstairs to get ready for the party. My friend comes down in a brand new dress. I come down in my tracksuit, which probably smells like dog feces and fear. Later that night, when her mum comes to pick us up from the party, when I get in the back of the car, I see my duffel bag is already there. I can already tell from the shape of that bag that those sheets are no longer in there, but her mum doesn't say a word. I run through that front door. I ignore all of my mum's questions. I go straight to my room. I open my duffel bag and inside is nothing except a packet of Mayfair, which were not mine. I never get invited there again. When I told my friend that there was Mayfair on her roof, she heard mildew. And so when her dad came up to check out the mildew on the roof, he found cigarettes. Cigarettes that belonged to his own son, not me. I did not try and steal anybody's sheets or bath towels. I just wanted to wash them. It's not smoking out of your window. I literally had to stick my head out there because your house was so bloody hot. I did forget to let the dog out, and I did give it diarrhea. For that, I'm very sorry, but I do think I got my karma.